This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. This is Daily Drop number 4, and you're in Wonderland. That was a clip from The Matrix. I'm sure everybody is familiar with that scene. It's the rabbit hole scene, and that's pretty much where we're at. We're in a deep rabbit hole in Wonderland, and if you're still sticking around with us this deep into the podcast, well, you've probably eaten that red pill, you've had a gobble, you've swallowed it down, and now here you are, hanging out with me. And I couldn't be happier to have you guys along for the ride with me on this beautiful Saturday night here in the desert Southwest. So tonight, we're going to talk about some stuff that hits home with this show. We have an article that came out, an interview from narrative.org, and I'll put a link into the description, but it's narrativ.org, and it's an interview by Zev Shalev, who used to work for CBS. Well, he has an interview with an ex-Mossad agent named Ari Ben-Menashe, and he has some pretty interesting things to talk about. So we're going to go through some of that stuff right here and right now. So a little bit of a background on Ari Ben-Menashe from this article. He was an Iranian-born Israeli consultant and former arms dealer. He served as a senior executive for Israel's Directorate of Military Intelligence from 1977 to 1987. That put him in a unique position to know about Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. He met them both 40 years ago when Ben-Menashe was working with Israel alongside Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell. As we've discussed on the previous podcast, Robert Maxwell was a British media baron. He turned KGB and a Mossad spy. He was both. He fell to his death from his yacht, the Lady Ghislaine, under very mysterious circumstances in 1991. In the 80s, Ben-Menashe and Robert Maxwell ran a covert Israeli operation transferring arms to Iran in what became known as the Iran-Contra affair. That's how Ben-Menashe says he first met Jeffrey Epstein. According to Ben-Menashe, Maxwell wanted to include Epstein in his arms-dealing operation. Now, this is the author talking about how he's vetted portions of the interview. I have vetted the portions of the interview included below as best I can, but in a world which is all about subterfuge, there is no way of knowing if what he is saying is true, nor can I determine if Ben-Menashe's motives are to influence the narrative. He is a consultant for various countries, including Russia and South Sudan, and worked with Zimbabwe's late Robert Mugabe. He claims he conducted this interview freely and not on behalf of any clients. While some journalists have cautioned not to take his assertions at face value, he has proven to be a fairly accurate source over the years. I've only shared portions that have secondary sourcing. Nevertheless, keep his history in mind as you read on. The interview first aired on the Narrative podcast, as I just said. And like I said, I'll post a link so you guys can check that out too if you want to check out some of the work that these guys do over here. This is a great site. So, intelligence assets. Ben-Menashe makes two significant claims. The first is that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were both intelligence assets of Israel. Interviewer: You spoke about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell as being a part of Israeli military intelligence. Do you know specifically which unit? Ari Ben-Menashe responds: Because of Robert Maxwell, they worked directly with military intelligence. I don't know who they answered to. Interviewer: Would you say she was an agent as well? Ari Ben-Menashe: Yes. Interviewer: Military intelligence as well? Ari Ben-Menashe: Yes. All right, so we'll stop the article there and I'll chime in real quick. This is definitely what I've been talking about the whole entire time. There's no way he could run an operation as elaborate as he was running with all the different webs and various levels of government he was reaching. There is no way that he was running this on his own with Ghislaine Maxwell without any support from some sort of intelligence organization. So what we have here is we have an ex-Mossad agent coming out on the record and saying that Epstein was actually being ran as an asset. All right, so we'll get back to the article. The second claim is that Epstein and Maxwell specifically sought out powerful politicians, scientists, and public figures to entrap them in not only compromising but criminal situations. Ari Ben-Menashe. Epstein and Ghislaine were blackmailing American and other political figures. Interviewer. For the Israelis? Ari Ben-Menashe responds, yeah. Interviewer. For most people, it's hard for them to think of Israel as blackmailing their leaders in the United States. It's a very... Ari Ben-Menashe. You're kidding. Laughs. It was quite their M.O. So we'll stop and pause the article there again, and I'll chime in my own couple of thoughts there. That's definitely how this works. It's, like I said, just because a country is our ally, that doesn't mean that they're not spying on us or running operations in our country. I mean, look what happened under Obama when he was spying on France and some of our other allies, Germany and Markle, and so it's just what these intelligence agencies do. It's in their nature to be devious. So that's just what they do. So this stuff lines up pretty well with what I was thinking and what I was talking about, and it's definitely something that happens. It's not even a question. So we've discussed previously about what happens when you're a foreign agent, how you have to register in the country that you're working in, so that the host country knows that you're there and they know what you're up to. And if you don't do that, well, then you're basically spying on that country. So that's obviously what was going on here, but in a different way. So we'll go back to the article. Epstein and Maxwell recruited minors to entrap politicians. Ben-Menashe claims Epstein and Maxwell specifically sought out underage girls for their famous friends. Ari Ben-Menashe. Sleeping around is not a crime. It may be embarrassing, but it is not a crime. But sleeping with underage girls is a crime. Ben-Menashe also reveals a previously unknown connection between Epstein and Robert Maxwell. He says Maxwell wanted Epstein to join their Iranian arms trading operation. Ari Ben-Menashe. What happened was Maxwell introduced him to us, and he wanted us to accept him as part of our group. He said, your Israeli bosses have already approved. Maxwell had... So basically what he's saying there is that not only was Epstein involved with other clandestine parts of intelligence, he was also involved with gun runners, and we see that over and over again, his connection to gun runners. And I'm going to do a drop on that where we go a little bit deeper into that, but you look around and he was definitely involved with a lot of powerful people that weren't just politicians, a lot of people, very shadowy people. So anyway, Maxwell, back to the article. Maxwell had an extensive network in Israel at that time. It included Prime Minister Ariel Sharon, and that's according to Ben-Menashe again. Despite Maxwell's introduction and endorsements from his superiors, Ben-Menashe claims Epstein didn't appear competent and wasn't accepted by him, meaning Ben-Menashe, or Nick Davies, who was also the Daily Mirror's foreign editor, but he was part of the arms operation as well. So, our good friends in the media once again showing their stripes. So in November of '89, Ben-Menashe was arrested for violating the Arms Export Control Act for trying to sell 3 Lockheed C-130 Hercules transport aircraft to the Iranians. So this became the basis for the Iran-Contra affair. He spent almost a year in the same U.S. federal prison in which Epstein supposedly committed suicide in. Ben-Menashe was acquitted, and he says his experience at MCC in Manhattan leads him to question the official version of how Epstein died. The interview picks up again. Ari Ben-Menashe. I spent 11 months and 3 weeks in the same place as Epstein. It would have been impossible to commit suicide in his cell. Ben-Menashe continues. I have theories about who wanted him dead. Probably there's quite a number of people in the States wanted him dead, but I would think mainly the Israelis. The official reason for Epstein's death, according to Bill Barr and the New York Medical Examiner, is suicide. So it goes on after that. It talks about blackmail now. It jumps into blackmail, and it says Virginia Joffrey, one of Epstein's accusers, gave her first television interview to Dateline NBC this weekend. She told NBC that Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell directed her to sleep with Britain's Prince Andrew and other public figures on several occasions. What NBC didn't reveal, but is made clear by Joffrey from an affidavit she filed in 2015, is that she believes Epstein and Maxwell put her in those situations to compromise public figures with blackmail. Full stop, hit the brakes. What have I been talking about? What have I been telling you guys? This is exactly what was going on. This is the hallmark honey trap. The guy, the honeypot, honey trap, whatever you want to call it, is exactly what's going on here. This is the MO of intelligence agencies all over the world. So, all right, let me finish back up with what she was saying. In the affidavit in 2015, Joffrey claimed Epstein told her he set up his friends with minors so they would owe him, they would be in his pocket, and he would have something on them. She said Epstein required her to describe sex with politicians, bankers, and celebrities, presumably so that he could potentially blackmail them. Joffrey writes explicitly about Epstein seeking details of Prince Andrew's fetishes, claiming Epstein was collecting private information about Prince Andrew. There are additional claims in police documents and testimony that Epstein's homes in New York City and Palm Beach were wired for video surveillance. We can definitely confirm that occurred with some of the new things that we've seen out there and some of the reports that have come in, not only from federal sources, but the NYPD, etc., etc. Back to the article. When authorities executed a search warrant on Epstein's Manhattan mansion, they also found CDs labeled Young, name plus name in a locked safe, according to the detention document. So, here's where we are now, right? We have an agent, and there's more to the article, but it goes on with other stuff talking about Epstein's relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell, and with a little bit more into Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, and we've discussed this before. But, Minash says, Epstein wasn't very competent. He didn't seem to be a competent guy at all. He was a good-looking guy, and Miss Maxwell, well, the interviewer says, Ghislaine, yeah. And Minash is like, oh, yeah, well, she fell for him. And that's how it all started, like we talked about. Her and Epstein, they became a pair. And then her dad was obviously an agent, as we've discussed, and he thought that Epstein would make a great asset for him as well. So he was cultivated, and he was groomed in a way to become an agent, the same way he groomed them girls to become part of his devious, disgusting activities. So, what we have here is a little bit of confirmation from somebody. Now, you could take the source, you could say he's not credible, or he's dirty himself, but at the same time, this is a guy that's been credible in the past, and he is a guy that would have intimate knowledge of the goings-on in situations such as this, especially considering the time frame when he was active in Israeli intelligence. So, with that all said, and tonight being the fourth drop, I think that we can really start to see the writing on the wall for what this really is. We could almost positively rule out that this was just Epstein running this on his own with just Maxwell. There's no way that could be possible. So now it comes down to who else was involved, who was enabling him, where are they, why are they not being questioned, why is it not all over the media, where is the media? The media is silent. Every now and then, you get one story, two stories in the last couple of days for these daily drops. And as you follow it as much as I've been, it starts to become apparent that they're burying it for a reason. They loved to run it when they thought it was going to be political dynamite for the people they oppose. But when it's not that, what happens is they stop running the story and they run with the story that is going to push their narrative further towards their goal. So, anyway, that's going to be it for this drop. I'm super glad you guys are here. Like I said, I'm pumped about, all the downloads and the excitement for the podcast. There's been a lot of downloads. I can't even believe that it's been downloaded as many times as it's been downloaded. And, I'm learning as I go. I'm certainly not perfect as a podcast host. I'm just trying to get this information out there to you guys. And, I just want to make sure that we stay on the same page and we stay laser focused on this subject on this podcast. And for some of the comments about, how we kind of got off topic and stuff like I discussed last night, just want you guys to know that this is we have the long view here. So sometimes we're going to get to our points in a roundabout way, and you just got to stick with us because there's going to be a payoff at the end. And once again, here's our payoff. This is our payoff at the end. We have an agent coming out and saying that this is occurring. Now we have an FBI agent who has said this as well, and on one of these daily drops, maybe Monday, depending on the news, I'll get into him as well. And so now we're getting sources to come out, and this is what happens in cases like this. It trickles out, it trickles out, it trickles out, and eventually you got to put the pieces together yourself. But if you're vigilant and you put those pieces together correctly and you take the time to really follow the news and not get caught up in the hype or any bias or any kind of BS, well, usually you'll come to find that you could put together the truth for yourself, and you don't need Don Lemon to tell you or Sean Hannity to tell you. Now, don't get me wrong. It's always nice to get that information if you're going to source it. And just like this subject, you got to source your information, and you got to check for your sources. You got to make sure you're doing the right thing, because if you're spreading disinformation on something like this, it hurts the case and it hurts the cause, and it's just not a good situation for anybody. So, like I said, we're going to be dropping all these daily drops as long as the news is coming out, and I'm going to keep bringing them to you. And when the news is slow, what we'll do is we'll do stuff like this. We'll profile some people in the case. We'll talk about, what their involvement was, et cetera, et cetera. And we'll go from there, and we'll keep creating as things fall into our lap. Like I said, this is all pretty new to me, so I'm just rolling with the punches right now. I'm trying to get things going in a cohesive manner, and I really think that we're on the right track here, and I think that we're building something good, and I'm really excited to keep it going. So I hope everybody enjoys their Sunday. There won't be a daily drop tomorrow, but there will be the long form 1 hour show. So I hope everybody tunes into that, and I hope everybody is having a great Saturday night and Sunday morning for some of you, I'm sure. And I'm excited about where we're going with this, and I'm really, really over the moon with how much it's been received, and how many times it's been downloaded. And like I said, I'm open to you guys reaching out. If you guys have anything you want to discuss, please reach out, and let's keep it going. All right, everybody. I'll talk to you guys on Monday with another daily drop. I hope you guys enjoy the show tomorrow, and remember, let's make media great again. Take it easy.